whether you see a dietitian or a nurse for the first visit, we, of course, tell you about our program, but we go through some basic information on things like healthy eating for diabetes, using a meter. If you're using a meter, making sure you're aware of what the goal ranges are and things like that.
Yeah.
So is there anything in particular that you're struggling with right off the bat, or that you're hoping to find out first?
Yeah, the diet is part of it, and then another one is, you know, that whenever I do take the meter reading, you know, what to do based on the reading that I get.
Got it. So what kind of numbers are you getting?
In the mornings, I'm getting, you know, like around 130, 140.
Okay.
And then sometimes, you know, I'll go a long time without eating because I'm really trying to watch my diet now. And then I'll feel like, you know, kind of like a diabetic low. And when I test, then I'm usually like between 105 and 90.
Okay.
You know, when I feel like I really need to eat, because I've been kind of forcing myself not to eat.
Okay.
And then the medication that I have is metformin, which I'm told to take twice a day after breakfast and dinner, and so otherwise I don't know, you know, what to adjust based on the readings that I get. I'm also having a hard time with the test strips too. Sometimes it's taking me like 3 times in order to get a reading.
Yeah, we don't want that at all. So one thing to consider is, I see you have the Freestyle meter, the one with the butterflies on the strip.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that can be an issue is sometimes when people try to put the blood on top of the test strip as opposed to touching the actual edge, the edge of the test strip. So you don't actually want to put the blood drop on top. You want it to touch one side or the other where that semicircle is, that dark semicircle.
Okay.
On the test strip. So that sometimes is a part of the issue, because the meter that you have requires actually very little blood, but it does have to kind of be in the right spot. So as opposed to, like I said, next time just pay extra attention. Are you getting the blood drop on top of the test strip, or are you touching the side where those dark circles are?
I was putting it on the top, and I was trying to connect the 2 semicircles.
Oh, no, you don't need that much blood, I'm happy to report.
So to one side or the other?
Exactly.
Oh, got it now, okay.
Yeah, so it should be a lot less challenging than it has been, honestly. Let's see. Sorry, I'm making a little note real quick. Okay, so in terms of your goal numbers, how often are you checking blood sugar? Once a day, or?
No, I was doing it maybe 2 or 3 times a day, but I've kind of cut down now because, you know, like I said, I you know, the numbers don't really matter because, you know, what do I do once I get the numbers? So I've just been not eating as much, and I've totally cut sugar out of my diet. I used to eat a lot of sugar, candy bars and sweet tea and stuff like that, and I've totally cut sugar out of my diet.
Okay. So, sorry, again, I'm writing a couple of notes here, but so the whole thing you mentioned about skipping meals, we don't recommend skipping meals. With regard to actually doing anything with the information, for now, honestly, what would be beneficial is to keep a written log of your numbers. I'm not sure if you've been writing them down.
Yeah, I got the little booklet that came with the tester, yeah.
Okay, excellent, okay. So for now, that's your job, is to write those numbers down. When you come to your first visit, you can bring your logbook with you.
Okay.
If you would like, and we can chat a little bit more about that. But did Dr. Kim give you any guidance in terms of your goal numbers in the morning when you check your blood sugar?
Not really.
Okay, so in the morning, the American Diabetes Association recommended goal range, and so your doctor may at some point give you different numbers, but in general, 80 to 130 is the goal range for first thing in the morning when you're fasting.
Okay.
So it sounds like sometimes you're hitting the high end of that and sometimes you're a little bit above that.
Yeah, I have a habit of eating late.
Okay, so we'll talk about that because it can be challenging to change not only some of the things you're eating, but the frequency and the amount, but that will be really important. In our program, you have 3 hours of specific nutrition education because it's fundamental and we want to make sure you feel like you have a good game plan. For now, one of the things I would recommend is, and we talk about this in our classes and when you first come in, there's, sometimes they call it plate picture setup, and without counting carbs and this and that for now, especially like tomorrow, Thanksgiving, to the extent that you can, visualize cutting your plate in half and filling half of that plate with vegetables.
Right.
That's going to be your golden ticket, is the watery, non-starchy veggies. So I'm not talking sweet potatoes, which are starchy and can make blood sugar go up, but broccoli and bell peppers and celery and mushrooms and eggplant and all that kind of stuff, any of your green leafy veggies. The more of those you can eat, the better. So if you cut that plate in your head, cut it in half as you look at it, load up one side with as many veggies as you care to have, then you divide the other half into quarters, right? So then you have a place for your starch or your grains, your carbohydrates, and you have a place for your protein.
Okay.
And really, most of our patients don't eat that way. They're not eating that many veggies. That's the goal. So even tomorrow, if you cut back a bit on, the sweet potatoes or the mashed potatoes, or bypass the white roll and add more veggies than you would have in the past, right there, that's a great starting point.
Okay.
So in terms of cutting out the sugar-sweetened beverages, really great that you've been able to do that. Candy bars, of course, have a lot of sugar, but you're going to find that you'll be able to eat most of the things that you probably prefer to eat. It's going to be about the portion sizes and the frequency and things like that. But I think you'll see that the program really advocates for kind of normal eating and not something super extreme for most people. Having said that, it's great you cut back on candy bars and stuff like that you already know is just a lot of simple sugar.
Yeah, I really lost my energy though because of that.
Yeah, well, one of the things that can make you tired is having blood sugar that's too high. So keep that in mind as well, that as your blood sugar is coming down, you may find that you actually have more energy. So I guess your takeaway for now, until we actually schedule you, is to try to not skip meals. So let's say, you mentioned you're really trying to watch what you're eating and things like that. You don't have to eat a lot. Maybe you, and I'm just throwing out some things, but let's say you had a string cheese and a couple of crackers and some baby carrots. That would be 3 kinds of foods, 3 different food groups, and not necessarily a huge amount of food and not a bunch of stuff that's going to skyrocket your blood sugar. But believe it or not, eating kind of evenly spaced meals is going to end up helping you in the long run to manage the diabetes. So try not to skip meals. Try to snack on some things that aren't starchy or aren't carbohydrates, like cut up cucumber, like I said, nuts or string cheese, like low-fat cheese, things like that, as opposed to the candy bar.
So kind of like instead of 3 regular meals, have like 5 smaller ones?
Well, no, we do advocate for snacks only if you feel like you need them, because if you don't feel like you need a snack in between meals, like you said, you don't necessarily want extra calories. But if you're skipping meals, we want you to replace it with even something that's more like a snack, just so you're not going completely without eating.
Okay.
So you had mentioned sometimes you go a long period of time without eating. You don't have to eat a full-on meal if you don't feel like it, but it's best if you don't go more than 5 hours or something like that without eating anything.
Okay.
Have a little bit of something if you can.
Because I'm finding that whenever I do eat kind of like a regular meal, I'm getting kind of like a food coma after where I just want to lay down and go to sleep.
Yeah. Yep, so we're going to help you select the foods that won't necessarily make your blood sugar go as high after eating. But you're absolutely right, that can happen, especially if you're eating more rice, pasta, bread, tortillas, crackers, those kinds of things that will tend to make your blood sugar go pretty high or higher after eating. But if your body's going to also take a bit of time to get used to this new thing, right? The new way of eating, this medication that you didn't have on board before. With regard to feeling like your blood sugar's on the lower end, just so you know, we typically don't get too concerned until your blood sugar gets down to 70 or below.
Okay.
So the 90s, for now, if your blood sugar goes to 90, it may be that you feel kind of weak or that you need to eat something, in part because your blood sugar's been running a bit high. So as it's coming down, you might feel quote unquote low, even though that's not a number that we would necessarily, be concerned about or feel is unsafe for you.
Oh man, because the one time that I tested at 90, man, I thought I was gonna die. I'm like, I had my vision, my close vision is getting a little messed up too, and so it was hard to even line the blood up on the tester.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and so if that's the case for you, certainly, especially if you haven't eaten anything, you need to eat something. But in terms of a safety concern, typically that wouldn't be where we're real concerned. And I'm not saying you weren't having symptoms. Like I said, if your blood sugar's been running on the higher side, then 90 certainly could feel low for you, and your body will adjust, and you'll get used to being back at a more normal or goal range. Metformin doesn't tend to cause low blood sugar. So one thing you got going for you is your doctor gave you something that can help you bring down your blood sugar without going too low.